Hey guys, it's Mackenzie from Girl Loves Glam here, and I just wanted to give you some really simple tips for having the most successful hair dyeing experience at home. I always support the cosmetologist. I am a cosmetologist, so your best hair dye is going to come from a professional. I think we all know that, but I also, growing up, I had a super supportive, loving cosmetologist that I went to. And as a teenager, I would try all sorts of hair dye on myself, but then I would go and get my hair dyed professionally, probably twice a year. And she was always so great about just complimenting what I had done and like giving me tips. And she was just really supportive of me trying my own things. And I think that's a big reason why I decided to go to beauty school, is because I felt encouraged and I was able to try new things and be creative with hair dye. So I want to be able to do the same for other people and not just say you can only go to a cosmetologist. But I want to give you the best tips to be able to do what you want to do at home as well. So first and foremost, don't ever trust the model on the box of the hair dye. You have to realize that they're obviously choosing like the perfect model for what's on the box. So you need to educate yourself when you're looking at there. So the way that hair dye works is, or any hair color period, natural even, how it works is it's on a number scale. So 1 is black and 10 is like a platinum blonde, like a bright blonde color. Every color, like every tone, will fit between that. So my natural hair color, obviously not this purple, but like this brunette color, is what is considered like a 4. A level 4 is like a dark brown. And like my kids, they have much lighter brown hair than I do. They would be more considered probably a 6. When you're looking at the box, most times it will say somewhere on there a number. And you have to kind of figure out for yourself to get kind of an idea of where you're starting. Like what level are you starting at? And then that will help you be able to make the best choice for yourself. So just think, if 1 is black, 10 is bright blonde, and like a 4 is a dark brown, where do you fit in? Usually if you are like a dirty blonde color, that's going to be more like a 7, and like a 3 is like a super dark brown. Anyway, just to kind of give you an idea, you just need to know where you're starting. There are also a lot of times there are letters on hair colors, and they will vary. So you can kind of get an idea. A lot of times if it has the letter N on it, it's like a natural color. Like my natural color would be considered more like a 4N. Sometimes there will be another letter after it that could be like R or A or something. So an R might stand for a red, or an A might stand for ashy, like an ash color. It really depends on the hair, like the color line, but that's what those letters stand for. With that, like you need to know kind of what color tones are best for your skin. So with box dye, like sometimes they won't have like the A or the R involved like in it, just because that is a little more advanced. Instead, they'll say like warm brown or cool brown, or they'll use like the warm or cool. So if you are more of a cool toned skin tone, then stick with the cool toned colors. And then if you're more of a warm toned skin tone, then you'll want to stay with the warm tones. It just doesn't look very good on your skin if you try to go one way or the other if you're not that way. So something to keep in mind is the color wheel. So when you are thinking about the color wheel, and if you have a color that you are not wanting in your hair, then if you look directly across from it, then that is going to be the color that kind of cancels it out. So for me, if I don't want reds, then I look directly across from the color wheel, and directly across from red is green. So that's where that ash color comes into place. So I typically will pull in like ashy tones to help cancel out the red. So it kind of goes, this is a lot more common with like blondes. When you are dyeing your hair blonde, then a lot of times it can go kind of orange or yellow. So if you look on the color wheel, directly across from orange is blue, and directly across from yellow is purple. So that is why people will use a purple shampoo if they have blondes. If they've gone to a cosmetologist to have the blondes put in, then typically the cosmetologist is going to use what's called a toner, and that's when they will put like a purple or a blue over the color, and a lot of times it's done in the shampoo bowl, and they work the color through, and that is pulling all of that yellow or orange out of the hair. Eventually that can start to wear off, and so that's why people will use like a purple shampoo to kind of keep that up. Toning your hair is not necessarily something that I would recommend doing on your own at home. I would recommend that being something that you do with a cosmetologist, just because it can be really easy, because you are using like a purple or a blue or something. It could be really easy to turn the whole thing purple or blue. Like you need to be working with the right stuff. So keep the toning to the professionals. With that being said, so if you are going lighter, your hair has to jump. So remember how I was saying like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Say I am a level 4. If I am trying to get blonde highlights through my hair that are a level 9, putting bleach on my hair, it has to lift and go. It has to go from that 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 and then to 9. So everywhere in between those colors is pretty much just orange. It's not going to lift to like I mean, there will be kind of caramel tones to it, but in between there is a lot of ugly. Probably the best rule for success is to only go 2 levels, either direction. So if you are trying to add like a few little brighter colors in your hair, just jump 2 levels. So that would be adding, for me, it would be like adding like a few dark caramely colors through my hair, or jump 2 down, and that would be going like almost black, a 2. But if you try to jump more than that on your own, especially going brighter, it can turn fast. Like it can turn bad really quickly. So try to stick with just going up by 2 levels. You can go darker a lot faster, but also be aware that once you go dark, it's really hard to go lighter again. Also keep in mind, if you mess up, do you know what? That's a cosmetologist, like that is what they are trained to do. They can fix it. It can get very expensive, but they've been trained to fix it. So if you have a mess up and it's just like you can't even live with it, just know it can be fixed. When you are actually putting the dye on your hair, it works best if you work in sections. So if your hair is really thick, mine's really thick, I have to work in smaller sections. If your hair is a little thinner, you can work with like bigger sections. But by working in sections, then you make sure that the dye is on all of your hair, and not, if you're taking too big of sections, then you might have like a section of hair that the dye got all around the outside, but then on the inside it didn't actually get there. So you just want to make sure that the dye is getting on every part of your hair. If you are feeling adventurous and you are trying to do more than one color in your hair at a time, then you will want to use aluminum foil, and really small sections work best for that. And you'll want to just take out a section and put the dye in, and then put it in aluminum foil to keep the two colors separated. Another good tip is to use gloves. Hair dye also dye your hands, and if you are doing like a vibrant color, like a purple or pink or red or blue or any green, any of the more vibrant colors, they especially will dye your hands. And I even need to wear gloves in the shower when I wash my hair for the first few times, because the dye continues to come out and it will dye your hands. So speaking of those vibrant colors, I get asked a lot about the purple in my hair. And yes, my hair is like the naturally dark brown, but all the places that I have the purple in my hair was actually dyed blonde first. So if you want it to be really vibrant, then you need to start with a light color to begin with. If you already have light hair, then you are in luck. But the darker your hair is, if you are just throwing a color on top of it, these vibrant colors aren't made to like lift your color at all. It's just depositing color onto the hair. And so if your hair is dark, it's gonna stay dark. It's basically just going to add a tint of that color to your hair. So another question I get asked a lot is how long like the vibrant colors last. So obviously it depends. If you are using just like one that's more like a shampoo, like a color depositing shampoo, those are made to not last as long. But I would say those ones last like 2 to 3 washes. And then they might just have a teeny tint left on that. Mine is a permanent hair dye, and I like to touch it up probably every 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, I would say. So you just kind of have to gauge it from there and see. But that's kind of the basics of it. Is it shows up a lot better if you are starting with lighter hair, and then just know that you're gonna have to touch it up. Say you have dyed your hair and you get, like, nothing says I dyed my own hair more than having hair color all over your forehead and your neck and your hands and your arms. Like nothing screams a professional didn't do this more than having hair dye everywhere. So an easy trick to getting it off of your skin is hand sanitizer. I know it sounds like way too simple, but a little hand sanitizer, you can put it directly on, or I'll put it sometimes just on like a little washcloth, like dry washcloth or towel, and then just rub it off and it comes right off. So those are some simple tips to having your most successful hair dye at home. Hopefully you can be brave to try new things and be able to try things in between visits to your cosmetologist. Obviously, we don't want to put anyone out of a job. Continue to go get your hair cut. Continue to go get your hair dyed with cosmetologists, but also don't be afraid of being creative and trying new things, because that truly is like where I was inspired. So hopefully you're inspired to try new things and that you'll have really successful hair dyes now. See you guys.